right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can I have some messages in the chat just to confirm you see and hear us? I see there already. All right. Hello, everyone. I can hear myself. My bad. All right. So welcome to Crossroads Game Jam. I'm Eric, your host. And I am from Brazil, but I live in Finland since 2018. I work for Xamk. And I'm happy to have you all here. And with me, we have Lilian. So Lilian, can you share a little bit about the collaboration we're doing for this game jam?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Hi, Eric. Thanks. We're very happy to be here, the Embassy of Brazil collaborating with Crossworlds. I'd like to thank Eric and Xamk for contacting us. I'm Lilian Finho. I work here at the Embassy of Brazil in Finland. I work in the science and technology sector at the embassy. And just to explain to you what is the embassy doing here at the Game Jam. It's because one of our missions here is to identify sectors in which we have a great potential for collaboration between Finland and Brazil. And the games industry has proven to be a very good sector with successful outcomes and concrete results, both in terms of academic collaboration, commercial collaboration as well. So we have actually many Brazilian game developers here in Finland working in studios in key positions. And the game jams have proven to be a great way of developing this mission that we have, fostering collaboration between Brazil and Finland, as well as other countries which have taken part in our activities as well. So I'll go briefly through some game jams we have collaborated in since 2021. That's when we started. And this year we organized a game jam called Good Game Brazil. It was organized by the embassy, and it was originally a cultural jam, but we had a very good surprise that the game that won that game jam was launched commercially in 2022. It was released on Steam and PlayStation, and this year it has been released for PlayStation 4 and 5 and Xbox One as well. So this was really a glad surprise and an unexpected but very good result. And then after that, we started collaborating with two important associations game in the game industry here in Finland. So Finnish Game Jam and We Love Games. And we collaborated in 3 editions of a game jam called Crossing Latitudes. The 3rd edition was earlier this year. And it had a greater international reach because we also had our embassy in The Hague in the Netherlands collaborating in the game jam. We used an AI matchmaking tool developed by a Brazilian researcher in the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands, and we also had as a highlight the fact that the game jam was promoted during Gamescom Latam, during a panel in Gamescom Latam, so to a very targeted audience. So this was really nice. And now we're here opening this edition of Crossworlds. Hopefully, it's going to be the first of many other editions that we are going to collaborate with. We're very excited because we know there are people from different countries, not only from Brazil, Finland, but also Ukraine, Norway, the US, Estonia. So we have great expectations. We hope that other game jams and some of what I said here to you about the results we had is going to be going to have an inspirational impact on you, so you can learn and meet new people, share the love of games, and of course have fun during this game jam. So I'd like also to thank KooPee, who's going to talk next, for being here with us. He's going to share some insights on Finnish game scene. It's going to be very good to listen to him. So yes, thanks everyone and have a great time.
Awesome. Well said, Lillian. And yeah, as I can see in the chat, there are people from Germany as well. So there are people from all around the world joining in. And yeah, the main idea is for you to have fun, network, try to mix up the teams a little bit so you can have this multicultural experience. And yes, so we have our first speaker here, KooPee Hultinen. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. He is the director of Neogames Finland Association, Finnish Hub of Game Business, Research and Education, among other things. KooPee is also one of the founding fathers of the European Game Developer Federation and Nordic Game Institute. The floor is yours, KooPee.
Thank you. You didn't butcher my name too badly, so I have heard worse a lot of times. Hey, but as said, well, my name is KooPee Hultinen. I'm the director of the Neogames Finland, and we are basically the association of the Finnish games industry. So we are this kind of non-profit ecosystem development organization. Neogames was first established in 2004, so we have been around over 20 years. And what is our mission is to accelerate and coordinate the growth of the Finnish games industry by doing many different things like collecting and sharing information and interacting with Finnish game developer studios, but also with the game entrepreneurs or game hobbyists and those teams who are making games as a non-company. We do all kinds of publications. The biggest one is this report of the Finnish games industry, which we do every other year. Then we do trade missions. So the big trade mission every year is Gamescom. It's typically like 30, 40, 50 companies, also from Norway and Estonia last year, were in Gamescom with us. And the boring part of our work is political lobbying, which we do in EU level through EGDF, and also, of course, international level. So it's something which has to be done somebody else than the companies, because we have the common interests in the games industry, and lobbying them is something which is best done through Neogames kind of organization. And here is some examples of the studies we have been doing so far. So market studies, best practices guides, studies about the European games industry, and we did this kind of play to earn study some years ago during the NFT hype. But that's what we are, and that's what we do. And if you think about the Finnish games industry, as I said, we have been following the Finnish games industry 21 years. And our latest study is from year 24. So all these figures are from year 24. And if you think about Finland, in the end of 24, we had 270 companies, a little bit more than we had in the end of the 22. And the number of the companies, there has been some volatility. So basically, you can, if you know Finnish game industry, you can see what has happened during those years. For instance, in 2014, when we had the previous record of companies, it was the time of the mobile gold rush, as we call it. So a lot of mobile companies were established, and for instance, in 2020, when there was only 200 companies, there was actually the industry was doing well. It was even doing so well that people didn't establish their own companies. They went straight to the big companies to work. And now in 24, when the times have been a little bit rough also for the Finnish games industry, the number of the companies has increased. And if you think about the 30 years of the existence of the Finnish games industry, as we know it, there has been around 700 companies during those days. So we have like a long list of companies which have existed but don't exist anymore. And if you count them all up, there has been around 700 companies in Finland. If we think about the game developer studios, where they are located. I don't know if you know Finland or if you don't know the Finnish landscape, but like usually in all of the countries, the game industry is mostly located in the capital area. So around half of the companies are located here in Helsinki, Espoo, Vantaa, capital area. And then the next biggest hub is in middle part of Finland, in Tampere and Jyväskylä. And then there is some companies also in the northern Finland, mostly in Kajaani and Oulu, which are kind of regional centers of those regions. And then there is some companies in the west coast, surprisingly small number considering that entrepreneurs are quite common in west coast, but obviously the game industry hasn't reached them so much yet. And then there is some companies near the Russian border also. So basically what we see is that where the companies are located, they are located in capital area or the regional growth hubs. So not so much in the outside of those. And if you want to see a list of companies, we have a comprehensive list of Finnish companies. We update it like 2 or 3 times a year, and you can find it from our website, neogames.fi section about the industry. So there is a list of all the Finnish companies. There is. If you think about platforms, which is quite interesting topic, is that Finland is known to be a very mobile-oriented country. So in fact, the very first widespread mobile game, Snake, Matopeli, was developed in Finland, and it was embedded in Nokia devices already back in the 90s, 97, 98. So we have a long pedigree in the mobile game development. And if you think about the most well-known Finnish game brands or games, they are typically mobile games like Angry Birds, Clash of Clans, Heyday, Hill Climb Racing, Merge Garden, and Empires and Puzzles, and that kind of mobile games. But we also have quite a good development scene for console and PC games. So games like Remedy's Alan Wake or Alan Wake 2 or Housemarque's Returnal, they are pretty well known also in the realm of the console games. If you think about previous couple of years, so there has been a shift, and the shift has been that most of the companies, especially the newcomers, they don't go to the mobile space so much anymore. And the reason for that is that it's very competitive space, and you really need to have a big pockets if you want to be successful in the mobile space. But there is a lot of development at the moment in the PC platform, and also a lot of development in the web online games. So HTML5 games, for instance, and that kind of stuff. And of course, there is Finnish companies doing games, for instance, to the Netflix, one of our biggest game studios. Next Games is basically owned by Netflix, and they do games or they develop games for the Netflix platform. One of the things which has also changed is that the VR AR development, which was actually something like 10% in couple of years ago, is now way smaller. So there is only a handful of VR companies in Finland or AR companies in Finland at the moment. So it seems that the promise of VR games didn't actually take place. Another thing to mention is that the Finns are quite tech savvy, and typically game developer companies, they develop their games to multiple platforms. So not only for mobile, but also for PC, for the console, and there is some companies who have like 5-6 platforms under their belt, so they can basically develop games even for a toaster if required. So that's kind of one of the characteristics of the Finnish games industry, and it has always been like that. If you think about the people working in the industry, employees or entrepreneurs, in the end of 24, we had around 4,300 people working in the Finnish game industry. And one of the new developments is that the Finnish Game Studios, they have opened up studios outside Finland also. So we, for instance, Supercell, Remedy, Metacore, and Rovio have studios also outside Finland. So they have been expanding their activities outside of the Finnish borders, and this seems to be a phenomenon which is continuing. And then those big companies, they are acquiring companies from other countries also. If you think about Finnish game development in Finland, we had around 3,800 people working here in Finland, and out of those people working here in Finland, around 35% were foreigners or basically non-Finns. So people who had come to Finland to work for the Finnish game industry and Finnish game studio. And as mentioned, there is surprisingly many Brazilians working in the Finnish games industry. And my kind of estimate is that then we had some Brazilians, and then they invited their friends in the games industry to join the ranks of the Finnish games studios. The number of our share of females was in the end of 24%, and it's around the same as it is on average in EU area. And one of the things which is quite commonplace in the industry is at the moment the remote work. So in our last study, we found out that around 24% of the people working in the Finnish games industry do it mostly remotely. So mostly remotely means that they are in the office like 1 day a week or less. So remote work is also always an option, but the full remote work that you don't never see your teammates, it's not very common. So it's basically more like being in the office once a week, kind of remote work. And if you think about the financial outlook, so as you see, when we did our first study in 2004, the turnover of the Finnish games industry was around 60 million euros. So it's nothing compared to what we have at the moment. So we have been growing, and as you can see, there is a big jump between 2012 and 2014, and it was caused by the mobile gold rush, which I already mentioned earlier. So that was the time when the mobile games market really took off, and then we had and still have some companies who were able to utilize that mobile gold rush, like Supercell, Rovio, Fingersoft, for instance, who were among the first ones, for instance, to adapt the user acquisition and in-app purchase model the companies have been using up to this date. And during these years, 10 years, we have been able to generate cumulative turnover of 28 billion euros, which is, I think it's a lot of money. And one of the things we are known for in Finland is that we have paid our taxes. So during the last 12 years, we have paid around 3.5 billion euros of taxes. So we are definitely a part of the Finnish economy at the moment. And that was about it. So I was pretty fast, I think. So do you have any questions or comments for the presentation?
Thank you very much, KooPee. It was a great presentation. Good to give some insight to people, especially people from outside of Finland.
Mm-hmm.
So people in the chat and the live stream, if you have some questions, you can type, and I will pass along to KooPee right now. I do have a question. I can start.
You can start. Yeah.
So, what do you think is a unique strength of the Finnish game development scene, if you compare to other places?
I think there is a lot of strengths, but I think that the biggest one is community. So if we think about the Finnish game communities, it's not only us. There is Finnish Game Developer Studios Association, there is IGDA Finland, there is Wheel of Games, there is Finnish Game Jam, and others. And we all we have the same direction. We are basically doing cooperation, quite a lot of cooperation in different fields. And that's basically one of the strengths. Finland is not a very big country. We are 5.5 million people, and it just makes sense for us to cooperate in Finland and go to compete to the global market where it really matters.
Yeah, definitely. I have seen firsthand that the community is really amazing here in Finland. Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions here. Well, people in the chat are shy.
Yeah, it's very Finnish phenomena also. So nobody asks anything.
Yeah. I do have one more question.
Please
if that's
do.
Okay. So what advice would you give for a first-time jammer?
Enjoy. So developing games should be fun. And although it's 72 hours and there is very little sleep and it might feel stressful, but I think that the idea of the game jam is to enjoy and celebrate games and create what you can, and if you can, and then you can take it further if you want to do it like that in the future. There is actually some games, as mentioned, which have been published, where basically the core game loop has been developed in a game jam, and then the team has decided to take it further, and they have published the game. And some of those games are excellent because they are basically born under pressure. And when you are under pressure, you typically concentrate and focus to the things that really matters. So enjoy. That's my advice.
I agree with you, definitely. And yeah, this game jam though will be a little bit longer. It will be a week-long jam.
Yeah. So if it's going to be week-long, remember to hydrate and sleep, because nobody can stay awake like a week. 72 hours is mostly doable, but week is a little bit too much.
Yes, please do. Well, there is one question here for you. What's your favorite Finnish game?
It's an unfair question because I'm working for the Finnish Games Industry. There is so many definitions. What is your favorite game? At the moment, I'm most impressed about Finnish Cottage Simulator. Yeah, I don't say that it's the best game there has ever been, but it was created by 3 guys in Jyväskylä as a hobby project, and they put it to the Steam, and they are still in the wish list, I guess, and they have like 70,000 or 80,000 nominations in the wish list. So it's always impressive when a small team can really do something which make a big splash in the games industry, because making a big splash in the games industry is not very easy at the moment.
Definitely, and I have seen this game. I know this game as well.
yeah. It's a funny game also.
Yes. And there's one more question, last question. What's the best first step to start a career as a game developer?
What is the best
first step to start your career as a game developer?
Well, I think that typically the first step has been doing something. So I mean that developing, even outside the company, to hone your skills, to develop some kind of game, maybe in a team, maybe yourself, trying to figure out what kind of game developer you are. And then when you go to the company, you are self-aware what you are looking for, and what are your skills, and what are your strengths, and what are your weaknesses. And typically, if you think about the first step in the games industry, it has typically been in the quality assurance. So it has quite often in the old days been the very first job in the games industry has been in Q&A. Your quality assurance. So that's basically the best advice I can give at this point.
Awesome, great. Yeah, and this game jam is something you can also use for portfolios, networking.
Yes, then also for that. So you can creating a portfolio of games or a portfolio of things you have done is something with what the game companies look at when they hire people. So they look at what have you. If you are, for instance, graphic designer or programmer or whatever, they want to see what you have done. They don't care so much about the degree, but they really want to see what you have done so far.
Yes, perfect. Well, there are no more questions to you, KooPee. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah.
No.
And have a nice game jam, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you.
See you. Bye. Now let's move on to our second speaker, and that's Lilian. So Lilian,
Me again.
can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can introduce yourself, please, again.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Again, I work here in the Embassy of Brazil, and I'm in charge of the science, technology, and innovation sector here. Yes, and one of the main subjects, main sectors we deal with here is the games industry, electronic games. So yes, and that's why we're here in this game jam. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit now about, give an overview of the Brazilian electronic games industry. I'm taking the information from the ABRAGAMES report, recent report. The ABRAGAMES is the Brazilian Game Developers Association. And yeah, I'm going to just briefly go over some data, and then we can maybe, if I can answer the questions, I will. If I can't, I'm going to take notes and then I'll give the answers to you. But let's start. So yeah, just to say that Brazil has the largest game industry in Latin America in terms of development capacity and player spending. Brazil is a massive market, the fifth largest market in the world in terms of online population. It's estimated in like 103 million players. So it's a lot. It's almost half our population. And it can be considered the 10th largest in the world. The Brazilian ecosystem is composed of major studios, but also small and medium developers, self-employed developers, specialized service providers, educational institutions, and professional associations. 70% of the professionals are male and 30% female, so there's still some imbalance here. It has increased tenfold in the last decade, so it's an expanding market. There are nowadays an estimated of 1,040 more or less game developers in Brazil. Most of them are small and medium-sized businesses. Most of them are in the southeast region, so not the capital region, which is the central region, but in Rio de Janeiro, and São Paulo, the southeast region is the one that concentrates most developers. The industry employs about 13,000 people. And the revenue is an average of $250 million yearly. So entertainment games are the major source of those revenues, but also educational games and advert games. The biggest markets for the external markets for Brazilian games are in the United States and Latin America, followed by Western Europe, Canada, Eastern Europe, Portuguese-speaking countries, Japan, and China in this order. We have some of the biggest players are Wildlife, Coco, Pulga, Diorama. So these are some of the biggest studios in Brazil. Most of them develop their own intellectual property. So this is something quite impressive. There are some organizations which support the game developers in Brazil. The most important is ABRAGAMES itself, but also APEX, which is the Brazilian Agency for Trade and Investment, the Ministry of Culture, because games are considered a part of our creative economy, and also the Business Development Bank of Brazil. So, and the number of studios has been increasing, and also the geographical distribution. So I told you before that the Southeast region is where most companies and developers are concentrated, but actually we have a very important hub in the Northeast part of Brazil, and it's called Porto Digital, like digital port. It's a technological hub in the city of Recife, state of Pernambuco, which is in the region of the Northeast region. And we have actually many of the professionals, Brazilian professionals here in Finland, come from this area. And I think it has to do with that phenomenon that KooPee just mentioned, that they came and then they invited others, and now we have this huge community from Porto Digital here. Let me see what else I can say about it. We have, of course, some limitations in terms of funding. Most companies still have to rely on their own resources or resources from previous games that they developed. So this is something we have to cope with. In terms of education of developers, so we have around 4,000 undergraduate courses in Brazil, and we have an average of 4,000 people who graduate in digital games every year in Brazil. So it's a considerable potential workforce. So, yeah. So the main events in the sector in Brazil, I can mention Big Festival, which is the largest business-oriented event for games in Latin America. Brazil Game Show is also the largest consumer-oriented, final consumer-oriented game fair in Brazil. In Latin America, it happens in Brazil, but it's the largest of Latin America. And SB Games, which is the largest academic event in Latin America about digital entertainment and games. Let me see what else can I say about it. Yeah, so and there are some strategies that could maybe help develop a sustainable and competitive industry in terms of games in Brazil. So first of all, the game industry should be seen as a threefold industry. So games are a cultural product, but also a commercial product and an innovation product. So there is the technological element of innovation, there is the commercial and profit-oriented, economic sustainability aspect of it, and also the cultural aspect. And in terms of, economic viability, funding is really important, and to generate profit is really important so that people can make a living out of it. To develop local talent and develop skills is very important. So we have this tax-heavy people who can develop games, good quality games, and also the cultural influence, because it's important. In Brazil could offer very specific cultural elements to games in terms of the artistic part of the game, and develop unique products that could have a competitiveness in global market due to our diversity, our cultural richness. So we have, for instance, games that talk about or tell a story about originary peoples or our African heritage, this kind of, or folklore. So this is a very specific niche that we can develop. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. And I would like to invite you to take a look at the ABRAGAMES website. There is this part in English, it's brazilgames.org. And yeah, I'm open to questions. I can answer them.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lilian.
Okay.
It's very interesting to see the contrast between the Finnish industry and the Brazilian industry. Yeah. And like you mentioned about networking, it's one of the most important things. And there's actually a game that some of the people I know are developing here in Finland about Finnish folklore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Kalevala. KooPee knows what I'm talking about, probably, and the Finns in the chat as well.
Yes, it's this like epic, the Finnish epic story. Yes, yes.
Yes. And
it would be very interesting to see a game, with Kalevala and make some cultural aspect, some Brazilian folklore too. It would be very interesting to mix those influences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be nice to have a game with both, where both merge.
Yeah,
that's some idea for you guys. Does anyone in the chat have a question for Lilian? I guess not. I think people are very excited for the theme.
Yeah, sure.
So yes. So thank you again, KooPee and Lilian. And you talked about funding as well, which is something very important here in Finland for game developers or even for us. So this game jam is only possible because we receive funding from the EU. So yes, funding is everywhere and it's also important.
Yeah.
Well said. Sure. So let's go to the theme reveal, the time everyone is waiting for. And the theme is bridges. Yes, do with that what you wish. We hope you have a great jam, you have fun. If you need help finding a team or a teammate, you can reach out to me on Discord. I will be active there throughout the event. And if you have any questions, you can also ask me there. So that's it for now. Let's jam. Bye-bye.
Have fun, guys.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.